How do you respond to rudeness? In this video, we will examine 10 useful Stoic principles that can help us deal with disrespect more effectively. Disrespect is a common challenge that we all face in life, and it can be very upsetting and frustrating. However, what if we could learn from the ancient philosophy of Stoicism, which teaches us how to handle difficult situations with wisdom and grace? As always, I'm challenging you to persevere and watch the entire video with me. Let's get started. 1. Maintain equanimity. One of the central tenets of Stoicism is that our reactions to events are not what disturb us, but rather how we interpret them. Epictetus once observed, "People are disturbed not by things, but by the view they take of them." This implies that disrespect is not inherently harmful or offensive. Rather, it is how we interpret and judge it that causes us to feel offended or hurt when someone disrespects us. Keep that in mind. Their actions are a mirror of their own ideas, emotions, and views, rather than your actual value or worth. You may remain composed and not allow their disdain to get to you by doing this. Sentimental condition. 2. Reflect and self-examine. The practice of introspection is one facet of Stoicism. The Stoics held that, as Marcus Aurelius stated, the quality of our thoughts determines the quality of our lives, and that we should always work to better ourselves and the things we do. When you encounter disrespect, it's critical to examine yourself and ask yourself questions such as, is there any truth in what the person says? Because your pleasure in life is dependent on the caliber of your thinking. Have I spoken or done anything that sparked the current circumstances? How can I reply in a way that is worthy of my qualities and values? You may better comprehend the occurrence and your own part in it if you take an impartial look at the circumstances and yourself. Self-reflection helps you learn from the circumstances and fosters knowledge and personal progress. It is a Stoic technique to make sure that your replies are based on reasonable judgment rather than impulsive emotions. 3. Practice pause and self-control. Seneca famously remarked, "Whenever you feel angry, know that it's not just a present evil, but also a habit that has grown stronger." Those who practice Stoicism emphasize the value of reason and restraint. They contend that snap judgments are frequently the result of impulsive responses prompted by strong emotions like rage or frustration and needless anguish. The Stoic method urges you to refrain from behaving rashly in response to disrespect, rather than adopting a time to stop and gather. Your refusing to react instantly enables you to better connect your answer with Stoic concepts of wisdom and self-control. It also allows you to recover control over your emotions and reply in a more measured and considered manner. When faced with disrespect, this strategy frequently results in conversations that are less emotionally charged and more beneficial. In the end, pausing helps one stay composed and make logical judgments when faced with disrespect, which promotes personal development and more positive consequences. 4. Cultivate empathy. Seek not the good in things external to you, advises Epictetus and other notable Stoic philosophers. Look for it inside yourself, because they think that all people are related, and that when someone treats you disrespectfully, you may improve your relationships and grow as a person by learning to empathize with them. This is why Stoicism advocates exercising empathy. Attempt to comprehend the viewpoint of the other person by placing yourself in their shoes. Empathy can aid with perspective taking. If you empathize with the person who has disrespected you, you can avoid taking their words or actions personally, and you can respond in a more dignified and respectful way. You can also help yourself feel compassion for the person and lessen your negative feelings toward them by looking at the situation from a different perspective and realizing that the person's disrespect may not be intentional or personal, but rather the result of their own insecurities, fears, or ignorance. Understanding another person's point of view, emotions, and motives is made easier with empathy. Rather than reacting angrily or defensively, you might answer politely. And deference. In this manner, you can keep your composure and prevent the disagreement from getting worse. Additionally, empathy embodies the Stoic values of knowledge, kindness, and introspection. It makes learning possible. Before I continue, you can handle disrespect in a more constructive and positive way by exercising empathy. This will help you grow as a person and recover from difficult situations. Assume that you are an exception if you have seen the entire movie, that you have demonstrated your strength. Let's watch the video through to the conclusion. 5. Focus on virtue. The development of virtues like knowledge and courage is one of the core tenets of Stoicism. Seneca, please help us live properly and behave morally. According to a well-known Stoic philosopher, virtue is just moral reason. This implies that rationality and consistency with the natural order of things are synonymous with virtue. Stoics hold that when we confront virtue, it is the ultimate good in life, and that all else is irrelevant. When we encounter disrespect from others, Stoicism instructs us to respond with virtue in mind. This means that instead of ignoring or tolerating the disrespect, we should respond in a way that upholds our Stoic ideals and values. By keeping our attention on virtue, we may grow as people, resist the pull of our emotions, and preserve our dignity and integrity. Stoicism pushes us to always be the best versions of ourselves, especially under trying circumstances. 6. Embrace acceptance. Acceptance of the things that are beyond our control, such as other people's disrespect, is one of the main precepts of Stoicism. According to Epictetus, he is a wise man who does not lament his possessions, but is happy for the ones he has. It follows that we ought to be appreciative, appreciating what we already have rather than worrying about what we don't. The Stoic dichotomy of control, which is another skill that Stoicism imparts, allows us to discern between the things that are and are not under our control. All we have control over is our own thinking, feelings and deeds, not circumstances outside of our control or other people's conduct result when we experience disrespect. It shouldn't have an impact on our internal, rather we ought to acknowledge it as a fact of life and concentrate on our actions to better our circumstances and ourselves. We may save needless rage and irritation by treating disrespect with stoicism. And bitterness we may develop personally and gain knowledge from the experience. This enables us to respond to disrespect in a cool-headed and reasonable manner. 7. Employ humor. Laughing a little bit helps a lot of times. As the classical philosopher Seneca, you claim to have self-mastered when you understand what to do with things you shouldn't take too seriously. While Stoicism emphasizes emotion regulation and reasoned behavior, it also acknowledges the therapeutic benefits of comedy. Humor can help us maintain emotional equilibrium in trying times and prevent us from being overly irritated or furious when someone treats us disrespectfully. Rather than allowing our feelings to control us, we might decide to reply with a clever comment or a light-hearted joke. Obviously, comedy is not appropriate, improperly or overly, yet it may be a helpful Stoic tactic to deal with contempt in a way that leads to a more favorable and tranquil conclusion. 8. Set clear boundaries. Being Stoic is about standing steadfast in the face of injustice and disrespect, not about being a doormat. A rock that is self-aware, respects others, and controls what it can and lets go of what it cannot. You don't have to take disrespect from someone at face value, do you? must become enraged, or you can't keep your cool and be firm. You may tell them what went wrong and how you want them to treat you. You can also create acceptable boundaries that safeguard your dignity and self-respect. Stoicism teaches us to be patient in this way, powerful, righteous, and valiant. It teaches us to keep our composure and our dignity no matter what, and it teaches us to respect both ourselves and other people. 9. Choose forgiveness. Consider being disrespected by someone. What is your response? Do you let it go, or do you strike out in rage? The antiquated Stoic philosophy has, to impart some knowledge, Stoics hold that forgiveness is a gift to oneself rather than an act of kindness toward others. Inner serenity is a result of forgiveness and joy, but it's not what forgiving is. Simple does not equate to forgetting or to truly appreciate what transpired. You must decide to let go of the hurtful feelings that are affecting you more than anyone else. According to Stoics, we should forgive everyone, but not blindly. Rather, we should forgive sensibly, justly, and with compassion. Stoicism instructs us to let go of the things we cannot control and concentrate on the things we can. Though we have no power over other people's actions, our reactions are within our power. Elect to pardon and set ourselves free from the weight of bitterness and rage. The ultimate act of self-care and personal development is forgiveness. It's not a weakness, but a strength. It's not a surrender, but a win. It's not a sacrifice, but a reward. This is what Stoicism implies when we choose to go on with an inner sense of peace and calm. 10. Change your perspective. Seeing is the capacity for perspective with a wider, more impartial perspective. Viewpoint. It assists you in avoiding overreacting or assuming the worst. As the Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius once stated, "Our life is what our thoughts make it." When you use perspective, you may see that most examples of disrespect are small and transient. Therefore, learning to recognize when someone disrespects you instead helps you realize that disrespect is not a huge concern in the broader scheme of things. You may also observe that they have no bearing on your actual value or level of enjoyment. You have the option to ignore, forgive, or learn from someone else's ignorance, insecurity, or vulnerability when they act disrespectfully toward you, instead of allowing it to irritate you. Keeping a perspective aids in concentrating on your objectives, which are what matter most in life. Ideals and virtues, you may devote your time and effort to doing what is right and significant for you as opposed to squandering them on bitterness or retaliation. You can have a more satisfying life if you do this, and tranquil existence. Therefore, keep perspective in mind the next time you encounter disrespect. It will support you in remaining composed and acting sensibly. It's important to keep in mind that Stoicism does not imply emotional repression. Nonetheless, effectively handling them with these 10 guidelines will help you deal with rudeness and disrespect while remaining composed and strong. Behavior. Give us a thumbs up if you can. Reach a larger audience seeking out timeless knowledge. If you're new, please hit the notification bell and subscribe for more content. Insights from ancient wisdom. We sincerely appreciate your viewing and hope to see you in our upcoming video. To view further videos with Stoic wisdom, choose any of the ones that are now displayed on your screen.